Okay, welcome back to another video. It's been a little bit. I haven't made a video. Just to be completely honest, I haven't had really much to update the channel about with the process of my rental property out there in St. Louis. But more videos to come here soon. I actually do have a renter in there now that just moved in a day ago. So really stoked about that. So they moved in on the 15th and they're going to be paying half month's rent for the rest of August. And then from there, there's a whole year lease. So I plan on making a video about that. But this video, I actually wanted to talk about my failed inspection that I had for the occupancy. So since this inspection originally happened, I failed a couple items, but I've gotten them corrected and really just haven't had much to update about. So we've actually passed the occupancy now, and so we have a renter in there, occupancy with the city, and everything's good. But I just wanted to talk about some of the items that I failed on this inspection because I don't want this channel just to be about all of the successes. I want it to just be very real, and not only am I documenting the process of my rental property journey out there in St. Louis, but I want to help people learn from my mistakes as well as the things that I'm doing well out there. So basically, for those of you that don't know, in St. Louis, in certain municipalities, you have to get what they call an occupancy inspection through the city. Basically, when you transfer hands from one owner to another, or if somebody else is going to be living in the property, you have to get an occupancy inspection. Basically, the city comes out, they send an inspector, and they look for very basic things to make sure that the property is safe and inhabitable. So there's a big checklist of items that the inspector could fail you on, and if you have a failed items list from the inspector, basically you have to get those things corrected on the property and then bring them back out in order to pass and give you the occupancy inspection, basically making it okay for somebody to live in the property. If you try to move in or have a renter move in without a past occupancy inspection, you could run the risk of getting fines from the city. So from what I've been told, but want to run everything the right way and do it right the first time and not have to pay any extra money if I don't have to. So I have just the list of items here. I just wanted to go over some of these failed items that I actually had to work with my property management to get fixed before we had the inspector come back out. Some of these things are very nitpicky, and I was actually very surprised that they were considered failure items. So basically, for those of you who don't know, I have it on my phone here. There is, once you get those list of items, they email you what they call a corrections list. So these are different items that I had to get fixed on the property before I could have my renter move in. So I'm just gonna go one by one. The inspector actually provided pictures for some of these items, so I'll put those on the screen if there's actually pictures for these items. But some of them are pretty ridiculous. So here we go. For the very first one, my driveway surface. I had to remove weeds out of the driveway surface. So there's a picture here that I'll put on the screen. It's a tiny little weed that he took a picture of in the middle of the driveway. There's a big crack in the middle of the driveway in the asphalt. So I had to get those weeds removed from the driveway, apparently. So it's considered a safety hazard. So the next thing here is yards, weeds, trash, and debris. So around the property, this is just a downside of being an out-of-state investor, is that I don't actually have visibility on the property for myself. So I'm really relying on the people out there that I'm working with to help me out. Apparently there was just some debris around the property, nothing major, just had to get removed. And so I'll put these pictures on the screen as well for you guys to see that the inspector actually gave feedback on. The next thing is gutters and downspouts. So I needed downspout hoses around my gutters. So I kind of just looked into that. It's really just a hose that attaches onto the downspout that just helps to divert water away from the property's foundation. So had to pay for that. It's not very much, but I guess it's a benefit to me at the end of the day. So that way it just protects the foundation from getting any water damage or anything like that. So it kind of just is what it is. Basement water heaters. So I needed to add an expansion tank. So I actually asked my property management about this, if this is something that is common. Apparently, when I got the new water heater, it's pretty common for inspectors to fail this item if you don't have an expansion tank. Kind of just it is what it is. So I had to pay a couple $100 to get an expansion tank added on. So at the end of the day, these things are all a benefit to me, even though it kind of hurts to have to pay the money up front to get these things fixed. But, you know, if it makes the property safe and makes it lets it have more longevity, then, you know, just it is what it is. So the next couple items were surprising to me. So hallway smoke detectors. Basically, every single room in the house was missing smoke detectors. So that's a failure item right there. Understandable, I guess, but this is definitely something I'm going to be looking for if I purchase properties in the future. I'm going to ask the sellers to provide smoke detectors. As ridiculous as that seems, I just assumed that the smoke detectors would be in there. So I guess it's on me for not really asking about that and kind of just assuming that. So yeah, so I had to get smoke detectors added in the hallways and in all the bedrooms. This one was kind of funny. It's actually in one of the bedrooms, it needed a door stopper behind the bedroom, or behind the door. So apparently my doors were just swinging into the walls and there was nothing kind of stopping the damage from that. So I got door stoppers put in. So that's another thing that was unexpected that I'm going to look out for in the future. So that's actually the entire list of items. There was a lot more things that could have been failed, but when I was working with my property management, they directed me in the right direction in order to help get the property up to code beforehand, before we ever sent the inspector out there. So I could have failed a whole lot more items, but I was working with my property management and just using their expertise in this area of getting inspections done as to what items I should have and did get completed ahead of time. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Just wanted to make this update video. Follow along. I'm going to be making another video very shortly, just talking about the renter that we got in the property. So like I said, there is a renter in there now, and we are collecting rent, so which is great. So it's exciting that I don't have to keep covering all these costs on my own. But I'm going to be meeting with my property manager on Monday. I have a quick phone call just to ask some questions, and then hopefully be making a video, just a general update about the property and what's coming next. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys in the next one.